Now, I normally don't do this, but considering the fact that this one is a special case, I've decided to make an exception. And quite frankly, I needed an idea to start off with, and this one was the perfect opportunity. My name is Raven Rose, and this is series 1 of Pagan Rants on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Now, because of the fact that I have several points that I wish to discuss, I've decided to take this series by episode, not only because of the fact that each episode is one painful hour long, but because of the fact if I did the entire series in one convoluted video, I will not be able to rant as much as I need to, because quite frankly, this is going to need this special treatment in its entirety. Now, episode 1, or the pilot episode of this rather questionable series, is called October Country. And, well, it starts off as a generic teen flick, and I thought, okay, maybe this is not going to be as bad as I thought. The theme music, for example, is not really that bad. And I thought, maybe I can enjoy this. This looks dark, this looks quite applicable for a good spookier version of the Sabrina story. And yes, I have seen 2 adaptations of the Sabrina story beforehand. Now, for the first few 10 minutes of this episode, I was fine with it. Sabrina seems to be knowledgeable about very macabre facts, which, considering, is not surprising. And there are several ghostly references that I like, such as Dr. Cerberus, which, quite frankly, I think foreshadows what sort of person this actually is. Now, the ghostly apparition that appears in around 15-20 minutes into this episode is also one of my favorites, where this ghost jumps out in front of the teacher, Miss Wardwell, as she's traveling home. And in further scenes, you see this girl and Miss Wardwell talking. Miss Wardwell tells her of the history of 13 witches who, in the Greendale witch trials of 1692, were hung by their necks on the oldest and tallest tree in Greendale. Now, this ghost is quite impressed, and she asks Miss Wardwell about Sabrina Spellman. And Miss Wardwell replies, she is one of my students, and how do you know her? And the next thing the ghost does is, well, I know her her warlock father who decided to marry a mortal sow, and then proceeds to use telekinesis to throw a pair of scissors into Miss Wardwell's neck. And then, as soon as I heard that, I was just like, oh no, not this stupid law where witches and warlocks are not allowed to mess with humans. Bloody hell, we have more stupid Harry Potter mumbo-jumbo going on here. From that moment on, I knew this was going to go downhill. And what also makes this whole thing go downhill is the fact that Sabrina has this sappy relationship with a mortal boy. I mean, come on, really? She's a witch, a half-mortal. She can take care of herself, and part of the reason why she's in such conflict, not only with her mortal life, with her friends and everything else, but it's always about a fucking boy. Ugh, it's really annoying. And this whole muggle versus magical pure blood nonsense, it just needs to stop, because quite frankly, it's getting old, it's getting boring, and can we please think of something else before you get your audience to die of boredom? Next topic I want to talk about is something in the series called the Dark Baptism, and from what I have seen, and yes, I've seen the series in its entirety, it's the day where the witch gets initiated with her full powers as she joins or in this case, the Church of Night, as Sabrina's coven is called. What this holds is utterly barbaric, goes against, and I'll go to this next topic, it goes against the actual the whole philosophy of Satanism. Yes, you've heard this right, this series makes these witches satanic witches. I'm going to get onto that next bit. And goes against everything that the true witches believe in. It's an utter desecration of the original Sabrina series. It's an utter desecration of belief systems. And quite frankly, Netflix could do a better job, and I think they may have had a writer's block, so they thought, well, let's fuck up a beloved series and also 2 belief systems while we're at it. And that's where I'm going to get onto next. Satanism, and the complete opposite, and another belief system called Wicca. Satanists are practically atheists. Let's get this right. They don't believe in God, and they just use the image of the devil to piss people off. They like scaring people. They like making Christians angry. So they use the image of Satan as a deliberate ploy to upset Christians. Wicca is entirely different. Wicca is a belief system based around magic. It's a belief system based around nature. And whether or not you are a hedge witch, a kitchen witch, a druid, one of the fairy religion, or basic Wicca, there are other systems. I'll talk that in another video. But the main core of Wicca is you believe in nature, you don't believe in Satanism, you don't believe in hurting anyone. You're a child of nature, you're a child of the god and the goddess, and you use your powers for good. That is literally all it is. There is no way, a right or wrong way of practicing witchcraft, just as long as you don't hurt anyone. At least there are some areas of witchcraft that are actually used properly in this video and in this series, such as the cleansing of the body and the aura for the dark baptism. Her Aunt Hilda, Sabrina's Aunt Hilda, makes her a potion made out of herbs that are known for cleansing, so it's about right. The next area I want to talk about is something that really boils my blood, and that's the Book of the Beast, the book that Sabrina and all the other witches have to sign on the dark baptism. And I'm just sitting here thinking, can someone please knock me out with a hammer, because by this point I have suffered enough. I'm probably going to go to hell, so if my torture is going to be watching this series all over again, I would really like to know if there is a way out, because as soon as I heard about this, I literally felt like wringing someone's neck. It's just lazy, it's predictable, and it's insulting, to say the least. And it's no wonder that Sabrina's having doubts about her witch side, because quite frankly, the way that these bloody writers have done this is utterly horrific. They tried to come back with it, I suppose, by putting in a Shakespearean reference to the weird sisters, Prudence, Dorcas, and Agatha. 3 spoiled brats who, quite frankly, with their racist attitudes and their superior way of talking, are nothing more than a rip-off of both Ethel Hallow from The Worst Witch and Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter series. Because quite frankly, you could have done a better job with this, Netflix, but you chose not to. Instead, not only did you take a dump upon Shakespeare's witches, you decided to flush out Draco Malfoy and Ethel Hallow and turn them into something generic and worse. Because quite frankly, Ethel and Draco both had redeeming qualities. They both felt that they lacked something in their eyes of their fathers. They both had lonely childhoods because of the fact that they were rich and they had a name to live up to. They felt they never had a choice. These 3 bloody witches have a choice in the matter, and they act like spoiled brats that quite frankly make me like Draco and Ethel a whole lot more. There, I've said it. Now let's go on to the misogynistic asshole that is the headmaster in the series. Of course there has to be feminism in a series. Of course there has to be. Otherwise we have the feminazis blowing up in our face, and we can't have that now, can we? No! We just have to make the headmaster one of the biggest idiots on the planet. Let's protect the jocks! Yeah! Because they're men! I swear, if there is one more series that dares to do this, oh my god, why do we even bother watching TV these days when this is the pile of horse crap we get thrown in our faces? I'm done. Okay. Well, Miss Wardwell takes an interesting turn of events, because I don't know exactly what happened, but the ghost wasn't exactly a ghost. Whatever possessed the girl is now taking possession of the murdered Miss Wardwell. Quite frankly, she's a whole lot more likable, despite the fact she's completely diabolical. She has her own agenda. I've seen the whole series. I'm just not going to give him too many spoilers. Wait, even if I did, it wouldn't be much of a spoilers, but anyway, I don't want to ruin it for someone else. She subtly hints to Sabrina that she should take the Dark Baptism and move to the Academy of Unseen Arts, which is basically the this series rip-off version of Hogwarts. Trust me, Hogwarts is a whole lot more likable because A, there is no insulting philandering going on, and also there is no Satanism because it's a children's series and witches are not freaking Satanists. It boils my blood, sorry. Well, the only redeeming fact about these magic spells that are being done is that they actually take the appearance of actual spells. And what I mean by that is that they have to have an intent, they have to have emotion behind them, and there are very specific things you need in order to accomplish it. For example, she takes a photo of the misogynistic headmaster, and together with her cousin Ambrose, she puts this photo in the cage of her aunt's familiar spiders, and quite frankly I had to wince while watching this entire thing because of my arachnophobia. But the entire spell that they chanted was not only a story, an imperfect rhyme, but it hinted at exactly the intent of the spell, and I couldn't be happy about this at all, because this is exactly what a spell should be, apart from the fact that they did this to give the misogynistic headmaster a really, really big shock. A bit too far in my opinion, but that's about it. Now, why did I mention Wicca as one of the religious systems that got desecrated? Well, instead of acknowledging Wicca as a religion, they decided to call the feminist society that Roz, Susie, and Sabrina set up Wicca. Now, that's all well and good, but Wiccans are not exclusively female. That's all I'm going to say. We witches are both male and female. Get this into your heads. Wicca is not primordially female. There are more than one. There's more than one person in it, for crying out loud. There's male, there's female, there's even, I don't know, transgender in it. Who cares? It's a human religion. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female, okay? Wicca's not to do with female empowerment. And why? What I want to know is why they chose Wicca for the name of this feminist society, because all it does is make me angry. And I don't want to get angry. I don't like myself when I get angry. And they also introduced this murdered boy with a witch's mark. Now, bear in mind, I'm going to go through this entire series and I'm going to tell you this now. They never solve the bloody murder. They never solve it. Despite the fact that, and this is the only spoiler I'm going to give, that there is a family of witch hunters in the freaking town. Why would you do this? Why would you drop this bomb and literally give it the most boring ending ever in the coming episodes? It's as if the writers were like, oh, I have this idea, I'm just going to throw it all in, and oh, I didn't think this through. Yeah, how do I save myself from an embarrassing mistake? Oh, I'm just going to give it the most boring, subtle ending ever and never solve this murder ever. Oh my god. Now the familiars, I also got upset about. A familiar in this series is a goblin who takes the animal form to serve his witch master. No, just no. That's all I'm going to say. And the very fact that you can either pick a familiar out of a book is just insulting. And I'm very glad that Sabrina decided to do a summoning spell for Familiar, because quite frankly, at least then the Familiar has a choice in the matter on who he's going to serve. And this is where it gets interesting. Salem, all of you who know Sabrina know Salem. The diabolical cat with the witty quips and, quite frankly, gives one the best moments of a series, doesn't get to speak at all. Salem has been turned into a generic, boring familiar who is no more than an average street cat. Or a house cat, or quite frankly, he's just a cat. He's just a boring little cat. He doesn't diabolically plot. He doesn't even talk. They took away Salem's voice. I don't care what the reason behind this is. This is unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. You've ruined one of the best characters of the Sabrina story. And you think that could possibly be a valid excuse for it? I say no. This is a desecration of the original story. Next I'm going to talk about the apple, known as the mallow. Of course, either the apple deceit or the fruit of knowledge. Bloody hell. Why can't you just use a vision spell and not go apple picking? Now this vision that Sabrina gets from this mallow is one of a burning tree with 13 dead witches hung by their necks, and a grisly goat-headed figure comes crashing out of the tree. Oh dear. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh dear. Quite frankly, I'm still disillusioned by the fact that they actually kept that in. It would have been so much better had they not kept that in. And last but not least, Mr. Creepy Fingers, or Faustus Blackwood, the High Priest of the Church of Night. The only thing I have to say about this is, why in the hell does he have long fingernails? Why in the hell have you made him look like a vampire? He's a witch, not a vampire, so if you're going to confuse the two, please do it properly. I'm already done with this. Dear viewers, I'm sorry if I'm a little heated up, and quite frankly, I'm still a little shocked about what I have seen, and quite frankly, I think this is the biggest piece of bollocks I have seen in a very long time, and I have been watching a whole lot of bollocks, such as stupid Disney series that are generic and, well, quite frankly, the American news. So, I think we have had enough of this bollocks already, so I'm gonna try to keep this short the next time. I can't give you any guarantees because this series is utterly horrific, and it doesn't get much better from here, so stay with me. We'll get through this, and by the end of it, hopefully we'll never have to talk about or see this stupid series again, because quite frankly, it's not worth anybody's time. And yeah, it's Raven Rose, over and out. Please like and subscribe. It might give me some stimulation to continue this series, because quite frankly I'm going to need it, and I promise you it's going to get worse. I promise this. You're going to enjoy the rest of it, because these writers, they need to go back to creative writing class. That's all from me, Raven Rose, signing off.